Hey, it's me, Chris DeMakes, and I'm returning once again to Las Vegas to give guided tours at the Punk Rock Museum. Friday, February 13th, Saturday, February 14th, and Sunday, February 15th. That's right, Valentine's Day weekend 2026. And I can't think of a better gift for your significant other than all of us sharing punk rock memories together. I'll be giving 2 guided tours a day. Get your tickets at thepunkrockmuseum.com. Join me as I guide you through 6 decades of punk rock music, memorabilia, artifacts, musical instruments, merchandise, mementos, and so much more. Get your tickets now at thepunkrockmuseum.com. Can't wait to see you.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey friends, Chris DeMakes here. If you love Chris DeMakes a podcast and you'd like to help us continue bringing you great episodes each week, please take a minute to check out chrisdemakes.com. That's where you'll find our Patreon. Our Patreon supporters get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus episode that people have raved to us about for years. You can also get ad-free, early releases of each week's episode of Chris DeMakes a podcast, as well as unedited video versions of the show. Even if you're not sure if you want to sign up, you can go to chrisdemakes.com and sign up for a free account. We'll throw you a free preview episode here and there. We can't thank you enough for all the support. And if you have a few extra bucks and you want to help us keep the lights on, our Patreon is the way to do it. Head to chrisdemakes.com to learn more. Hey everybody, today's guest is Mike Harder, guitarist for the Southern California punk rock band, Pulley. Together we break down the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the fan favorite single, Insects Destroy, taken from their 2004 full-length album, Matters. I think I've met nearly everyone who's ever played in Pulley except for Mike, and he couldn't have been a cooler guest. Mike credits producer Matt Hyde, known for his work with Slayer, Hatebreed, and Monster Magnet, with not only steering the ship here, but pushing the band to be the best version of themselves. And the results are killer. This is a dark punk gem, and Mike thinks this song became a fan favorite standout because it was just a little left of center from a lot of their other stuff. He said he learned a ton from Matt, so much that when they went to work with him on the follow-up record, Matt barely had any changes with the demos he was given. Yep, they harnessed all that knowledge and came back better than ever. So for all this and a whole lot more, stick around.
Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast.
Well, hey Mike, what's up?
How's it going, Chris?
Going well. You know, I'm going back through the mental Rolodex. If we hung out in past years, I want to say Less Than Jake played a show with Pulley once, but I know so many of the alumni in Pulley, and I don't know if we've ever actually met.
I don't know if we've ever formally met. I'm sure that we've played with you guys.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure of it at festival or here or there. Europe here.
Warp tours.
Yeah, warp tours. But yeah, I don't think we've ever formally met.
The cherry, the tree here, I'm looking at Jim Cherry's name, rest in peace, but the branches of the tree, I should say, of Pulley run deep. Initial lineup included yourself, which I guess you've been there since the beginning.
Yes.
Matt Riddle, of course, played bass in Face to Face. Jordan from Strung Out. Jim Cherry, who's a legend in the punk scene. And, of course, your singer, Scott Radinsky, who I met back in the 10-foot pole days, as well as the drummer that played on this song, Tony Palermo.
Yeah.
I've known Tony forever. So
yeah.
Again, it's good to formally meet you.
Yeah. It's great to meet you too. Yeah, I actually just saw Tony like a week ago. We played a show up in Roseville, which is Sacramento area.
Yep.
With Unwritten Law, and Tony showed up. So I see him periodically. Yeah, Tony and I, we go way back. We grew up together, went to high school together, along with Scott and some of the other guys.
So you know Dan Palmer from Zebrahead?
I've met Dan before. Yeah.
You've met Dan. Okay, yeah. Because I had a crazy encounter one night. I ended up in Germany. We were in Berlin at some after party going back maybe 7 or 8 years now. And I'm with Palmer because we were playing with Zebrahead. And we were at an after party the Youth Brigade was playing at. And all of a sudden I look over and there's Tony. And Tony walks over. He was there with Papa Roach.
Yes.
But he ended up at this bar. So who he still plays drums with. And we're talking. I'm like, Tony, this is my friend Dan. And they're, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And then all of a sudden they like step back from each other and they're like, dude, like he didn't recognize Dan with his shaved head. They're hugging. I'm like, what is going on here? I guess they played each other's first band back in the day. So.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Dan is he the drummer for Zebrahead?
No, that's Ed. Dan's the guy that has the wacky mustache.
Oh, Dan from Death by Stereo.
Death by Stereo. There you go.
Yeah, I know Dan. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That Dan Palmer.
I should have said Death by Stereo. Yeah, but it's just weird. The connections here and just seeing Tony that night was really cool. But another thing that popped out while researching the episode was on this recording for Insects Destroy. You guys work with Matt Hyde.
Yes.
And I've had lunch with Matt Hyde before.
Oh,
we're going to
really?
do a record with him. Yeah.
I'm gonna be with him tonight, actually.
Oh, please tell him I said hello. You know,
I will.
We met with Matt around 2007. We ended up doing a record in Chicago with a different Matt, Matt Allison.
Uh-huh.
But we just wanted to be closer to home. I don't think everybody wanted to be all the way out in California. Or wherever it was. I think that's where Matt was doing his recordings then too. But super great guy. I love his productions. He's done Hatebreed, Slayer, Deftones, Parkway Drive. It's great. And you guys did this song with him 2004. This song came out on your 5th album, Matters. Take me back to that. Was that your first time working with Matt?
That was our first time working with Matt. So at the time when we wrote the songs, we had a bunch of songs for the record, and we actually wanted Brett to produce the record.
Okay.
Brett Gurewitz.
Yeah.
And so we asked Brett to do it, and Brett's like, oh, I can't do it because I'm doing the new Bad Religion record at the time. They were working on a new Bad Religion record. And so Brett came back to us and said, hey, I can't do it, but I have somebody in mind for you guys, buddy of mine, Matt Hyde. And I was like, oh my God, Matt Hyde. I know who Matt Hyde is. He did, Slayer. I was listening a lot to like when Monster Magnet came out with Power Trip. Matt did that record, and that's sonically, that record to me is unbelievable.
It rips.
It's incredible. And I was just like, oh man, that's a no-brainer. So that's how that came about. Matt came over to our studio and, listened to the songs, and we just got right to work.
Yeah. And
so, that was our first record with him. And it was a real education for us working with Matt. He taught us a lot. And in regards to just, anything from sounds, tones, songwriting, arrangements, he just had so much to offer.
Right.
It really took it to another level for our band.
How receptive were you guys by this point? Because by 2004, you had been a band for going on 10 years.
Yes.
Were you all ears, or were you trepidatious about it?
Like I said, I knew about Matt, and I knew about his work, and I was always intrigued by his work, and like from a sonic standpoint. Like, I was just like, who is this guy? Yeah. I haven't heard records sound like that. He definitely had a sound sonically to his records that I hadn't heard before. So I was really familiar with him. So when he walked through the door, especially myself, I was all ears, and I was very open-minded. And the rest of the band was too. At the time, Tony was playing drums for us, Tony Palermo, mm-hmm. and he knew who he was too, and was familiar with his work, and just his energy when he walked through the door. You know how you just know
Yeah.
When you meet somebody for the first time,
Has the it
and
factor.
it's just like he just walked in, and we were jamming at when he walked in the door, and he just had this big smile on his face, and it was just like, it was just like one of those moments, like, this is going to be great. You just knew it. You just walked in, hey guys, oh man, it sounds fucking good, man.
Yeah.
And you just knew right out of the gates.
I'm laughing because it's funny, because here's a bunch of grown men sitting around, and it's funny how someone, anybody could put you at ease with just a simple thing as a smile and kind of a, bopping their
Isn't that amazing?
Bopping their head to the music. Right. Conversely, he could have come in a foul mood or got cut off in traffic. And you guys are like, I don't know, man, this guy's energy's weird. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was really cool. And like I said, immediately, we just started running through the tunes with him, and he just started taking notes, and then just started giving us feedback, and it was just like it just flowed.
Yeah.
It's just like everything that he was offering was just making sense to us. There was just like it just flowed. It's like, yep, no, that's a good idea. Yep, we should cut off that bar there. We should we should turn this part into 2-part, all the stuff, right, that a producer would do.
I love that when it's productive from the word go.
It was from the word go. We just got to work, and we went deep. I mean, we went really deep with
I love
him.
it.
And it was really cool too. What song was it? Poltergeist, maybe? It was one of the slower songs. Brett had actually come over to the studio with Matt at one point while we were doing all our, pre-production. And Brett came over and actually helped with that particular song. So it was really cool to have Brett and Matt sitting side by side. Just we were all of us were collaborating on this one song. And, so Brett actually brought some really good ideas to the table on that record as well. So we kind of got the best of both worlds there for a little, for a minute, and I learned so much from that experience making that record with Matt. We even went on to make 3 more records with Matt. We did 2 EPs and another full length. But it was cool because, like on Matters, we did that record. Like I said, we learned a lot. We got an education. And then when we went to do our next thing, which was a EP called Time Insensitive Material, we did it with Matt. And, we had the songs written, and we brought the songs to Matt, and he listened to the songs for the first time, and he was like, yeah, I don't even want to touch these. These sound great.
Wow.
Let's jump in the studio and record. Well, I mean, that was just from our education from him on that Matters record, and we just kind of like took it from there, everything that we had learned from him. So we owe a lot to him. We owe a lot to everybody along the way, to everybody. I mean, Ryan Green did so much for us.
Oh, yeah.
And I learned so much from Ryan too. It's when you're in a band, we've been together for 30 years now. You grow up together.
Yeah, no, you do.
You go through all the peaks and valleys together.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot together.
It's a dysfunctional marriage where no one sleeps together, but you play music.
That's right.
Yeah, and you want to, and sometimes you want to kill each other. I know that all too well.
It's all there, man.
It's all there.
A
couple more things before we jump in the song. I want to give a mention to Matt Hyde's production on the God Hates Us All record. It's just crushing by Slayer. I mean, people hold the gold standard for Rain and Blood, Seasons in the Abyss. Both records are great, but my God, go listen to God Hates Us All. It's thunderous.
I'll show you what I've known all this time. God hates us all. God hates us all. It's true, God hates his place. It's true, he hates his race.
I tell everybody the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And I tell Matt that all the time. Me and Matt hang out a lot. We're very close.
I think that's their best sounding record. It's amazing.
And I tell him that all the time. And I get all the good, inside stories, from recording that record, so.
Very, very
it's
cool.
Good stuff.
Well, I want to jump into the track. It's 3 minutes and 18 seconds. The intro is 8 bars of this dark, overdriven guitar playing an arpeggiated lick while the drums are hitting side stick on the snare drum and lightly playing on the ride cymbal. On bars 7 and 8, the drums go to a tom buildup as they are joined by a pair of stereo guitars and bass guitar, both building in intensity with the drums. This is followed by 10 bars of drums. Super loud crash here in this part. Bass, stereo guitars, and a lead guitar lick. Slightly pan left, pretty much center. The last 2 bars, 9 and 10, are that build up again to launch into verse 1. That buildup that happens, my listeners hear me talk about this all the time. Those little things are hooks in this song to me, and it's kind of a running theme that happens. And sometimes a hook can be simple, floor tom and snare with some 8th note guitars. It doesn't need to be anything else.
That's right. I agree. It doesn't always have to be a flashy, melodic, single note riffy thing on a guitar. It could be as simple as that. A transition, a build, and I think it really sets up a chorus or a verse.
You mentioned that Matt had a lot. He was pretty hands-on. He would tell you what was on his mind. Do you recall Insects Destroy going through an evolution? Was there a lot of changes in this, or was this kind of what the demo was?
So I had the riff, and the riff at the time that I had was what would later become the chorus.
Okay.
And I was playing around with it at a band practice one time, and Scott was like, "Ooh, what is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's just something I'm working on right now." He's like, "Oh, that could be good." And it was just that riff, which is the chorus.
Yeah.
And that I took that home, and then I pretty much built the other parts that you hear. Okay. And I made a basic arrangement, which is essentially what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were working with Matt on the song, Matt's like, him and I were sitting down. He's like, "You need to come up with an intro to this song. You got to come up with an intro."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Really?" Because I was thinking about just blasting into the song.
Yeah.
That was my vision in the beginning. I said, "Oh, okay." So I started playing around with the actual chords, right? Which is what you hear. We tuned down a full step.
Okay.
So we're in D standard.
Gotcha.
So when I was playing, I started doing the arpeggios, and he was like, "Oh, I like that. Let's keep going with that." And then so him and I worked out. So it was his idea to do that intro. So we worked that intro out together.
I think the intro's super cool. And it's interesting. The guitar part in and of itself, the notes are dark, but Matt is a metal producer. He'll give it that kind of dark sheen. There's something cool here. I've never quite heard the tone you got there. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I can't tell you what he does that he has that. I don't know what you would call it. It's got like this low end, like frequency going on some of his productions. You'll hear it on Power Trip too when he did Monster Magnet. It's like this low end thing going, but it's not obtrusive.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't necessarily take out the mids or whatever or disturb the mids.
Take it away, you'll know it's not there though.
Absolutely. You're exactly right. But yeah, I mean, as far as like guitar tones and stuff like that, I've used the same rig since record one. And that's my Marshall JMP 1979 Mark II 50 watt.
Nice.
And that's what, and the very first Les Paul I ever bought. And that guitar and that rig are pretty much all the rhythms from every record that you hear from Pulley.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. You tune all the way down to D. That really helps with these harmonies. here, because the harmonies,
Yes.
these harmonies are really interesting. They're a cross between, some of them they're very, very Brett Gurewitz, something Bad Religion would do on some of these harmonies. But
Yeah.
I'm also hearing like a couple of them, like something maybe System of a Down would do or something. It's like, whoa, like really cool
Yeah.
vocals here, and we're going to talk about them. But after the intro, we get into verse 1.
I'm looking for a friend today. Another victim just like me. A lunatic, a loser, a freak. Another casualty from a fucked up society. I gave my all to the system. Half my life still in question. All about money and power. All the greed they devour. Never gave it.
I'm looking for a friend today. Another victim just like me. A lunatic, a loser, a freak. Another casualty from a fucked up society. I gave my all to the system. Half my life still in question. All about money and power. All the greed they've devoured.
Yeah. So I wrote the lyrics to the song. At the time, I had gone through the corporate world. I come from a blue collar family. I was raised, as soon as it's time, you get a job, right? So, I worked from a very, very early age. And also at the same time, I started playing in bands when I was probably around 14 years old. And immediately was playing in punk rock bands. That was what I was drawn to. That's the kind of music I started playing when I started playing guitar.
So we're talking late 80s here?
Yeah, I'd say 1985.
Okay.
84, 85
Okay.
is when I really started playing in bands. But I always had a job. I always had a 9-to-5 job, 5 days a week. And I've worked for some big corporations. So I've seen that kind of side of people and business. And I've also seen that side in the music business. So I've seen both sides.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen how success and money and fame has changed people. So for me, it was just like working in the corporate world as opposed to maybe a mom and pop shop. You kind of get lost in the shuffle no matter how much effort you put into what you do for that company. Right. So, that was a little bit of, and I was feeling a little bit that way about the music business. I had experienced a bit of the music business prior to even signing with Epitaph. I'd done a tour or two and, made a couple records with another outfit. And I was with another band that was, working with a pretty big producer and did some other things prior to Pulley. And so I've seen a lot, in regards to those worlds, the corporate worlds in music business and other businesses. And, I guess I was feeling a little bitter at the time. And I can't say I would write those lyrics today, but at the time, that's how I felt. And I was a little pissed off at certain things, but that's what I wrote.
Just looking at the lyrics without even hearing the song, just staring at them, they're punk rock lyrics. I mean, yeah, you could tell, you could tell you were angry, but I mean, I've had people come on here. You could have told me anything. You could have told me, and the fact that you told me it was about something that you were actually going through, I think that's awesome. Verse 1's got some really cool stuff. Drums, bass, and the stereo guitars are now playing eighth note palm mutes. The vocals, we got one front and center, but we got some stuff going left and right. It's like a 3-part dark tension harmony. Do I hear a high unison in there too of the lead vocal? I know that's definitely in there for verse 2.
Yeah.
I think it is so cool. On the second half, the 3-part vocal harmony continues, but we're joined by another playful guitar panned off right that's just kind of dancing around those eighth note stereo guitars. And on the last line, all the greed they've devoured, there's a 2-bar buildup again that comes back to take us into the chorus, that launching pad there. But let's talk a little bit about these vocals. I'm assuming 2004, this record was done to Pro Tools?
Yes.
Okay, so Matt's editing through Pro Tools. How is he with the vocals? Is that all Scott right there?
So again, it was Scott and Matt. I got to say, when they get together, it's magic happens. Matt has had so many great ideas for harmonies and where to place them. And he and Scott just work so well together.
But there's pretty much
And
harmonies on everything here. And
I
that
know.
doesn't work a
It gets
lot.
crazy.
That doesn't work all the time.
I know.
My
I
band has
know.
one or two songs where there's harmonies on almost everything, certain pop acts that can work for. But I feel like here, if it wasn't here, that this wouldn't be the same song. It's haunting with all those voices in there.
It really is, yeah. And it happens on some other songs on that record too. There's definitely a harmony quality thing going on across the record, I would say.
Now, with Scott doing all these, and of course they're in
Yes,
there
Scott
and they're punching, and then he's going, try this, try that. They're figuring parts out. Was there
That's it.
ever any concern, like, we got to go play this live, or I'm just going to sing the lead vocal? It doesn't matter, because you know what? Sometimes it doesn't matter. You go make a record. I learned that early on. Producers are like, oh, we're going to put a tambourine or a piano. We don't have a tambourine player. We're making a record, So was there ever any discussion of maybe we're overdoing it here?
No, I don't think we ever had a concern. We knew the layers that were on the record. Obviously we're not going to be able to achieve that in a live situation, but we knew where we had our work cut out for us. Okay, how are we going to do this live, right? What harmonies are we going to do? Okay, so we worked it out, for the live show.
I would bet anything that you guys, after this, you made this record, you became a better band to really learn how to play these songs, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what I love about making a record, when a producer challenges me, because it's like,
Yes.
Now I can get out of me and learn a new trick, because you've been playing guitar for 40 years. I've been playing guitar for a long time. You stop learning new tricks unless you actively try.
That's right. And when you're collaborating with somebody or just different people, right? You pick up things from different people. And like I said before, it's like that education with Matt. I mean,
priceless.
We learned so much. It was just incredible. He's such a intelligent person. And it's not just music, you can just go off on conversations about other stuff, just life.
Yeah.
Just a good human,
I enjoyed the hour I spent with him. He seemed like a really cool guy.
I don't care too much about anything anymore.
Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more coming up with Mike Harder after a few words from our sponsors. Do you like music, learning about good music, and laughing at bad music? Well, I have the show for you. I'm Chris DeMakes, a podcast producer, Chris Fafalius, and my One Hit Thunder co-host Matt Kelly and I are 300 plus episodes deep into revisiting one-hit wonders to decide if they deserve a second listen or should stay safely buried in your memory. We give every artist a fair shot, roast them when necessary, and when a band or artist is actually really good, we officially certify them Thunder, and maybe someday we'll even get around to sending out those notarized certificates. Basically, it's an incredibly fun music podcast, so smash that subscribe button on One Hit Thunder wherever you get your pods. And now, back to the show.
Chorus 1 comes right after that 2-bar build-up in verse 1.
Never gave any credibility for a vision given to the enemy, and on the faces of humanity, a stone's eye throw for a man on a pedestal.
You never gave any credibility for a vision given to the enemy, and on the faces of humanity, a stone's eye throw for a man on a pedestal.
Again, you never get any credibility for a vision given to the enemy. Well, the boss, if you will, or the CEO, maybe the record company executive, you're handing over your creativity. You're giving your heart and soul to somebody.
Who's the man on the pedestal, your boss or you?
The boss.
The boss. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
Again, the harmonies continue here. You said no, the harmonies were kind of always a thing here. That would have been tough for me on this production because the harmonies are so interesting. I've been like, we got to save those for the chorus, at least the first time and the first verse. Doesn't sound like that happened though. They just were there through the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely times where it's like, oh, okay, you know what? We should save that. on other songs.
Yeah.
You know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean?
Pick your spots.
But I hear what you're saying. It's like, should we do that?
I mean, I'll put harmonies over everything. So I'm the worst person to talk to about that. But when I see productions like this, and the whole time I'm listening to this and I'm picking it apart, I'm thinking, yeah, without this, it's just not the same, And I might have tried to be cool and been like, we got to save it for the chorus. That that would have been the wrong call. Got some great things happening here in chorus 1. Driving drums, man. The kick drum that Tony's doing there.
Tony killed it on that record. He just killed it.
Just driving. So good. Yeah. Stereo guitars and bass along with a 3-part vocal stack. It sounds like the chorus is that the lead vocals doubled there. Not in the verses, but it's doubled in the choruses to fill out. On the last line, on a pedestal, it's just one vocal, and it's by itself, immediately followed by a 10-bar re-intro, like the second half of the intro at the top of the song, only this time, the guitar lick is up an octave.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
Yes.
It's a cool trick in the sense that I'm trying to think of a song. Yeah, you'll go up at the end of the song, maybe an octave, or have a harmony guitar come in. But I'm listening to this song over and over going, why does this part sound different to me? And then it finally dawned on me, wow, it's up an octave. Let's talk about that. Was that your idea or Matt's?
That was a Matt thing.
It was.
That was a Matt thing, yeah. Guys like that have they're so seasoned. They've seen everything, right? They've all different types of music they've worked on. They hear things that you don't necessarily hear, and that's a beautiful thing.
It made the part lift just by going up the octave. You didn't bring in 10 more guitars or, synth pads or anything. It's just that one little thing you changed, and man, the part just feels a little more urgent, a little bit bigger than it is at the top.
Right. It definitely adds that bit of tension.
Case in point, sometimes less is more. How many times have you stacked 8 stereo guitars trying to make this big wall of sound, and it just gets muddy? And after a while, you're like, let me just listen to the pair of stereos by themselves. You go, dude, what are you doing?
Right? I mean, yeah. Haven't we all learned that by now?
Here the guy goes, dude, second time, just go up an octave. It'll be fine. You're like going, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
But here it works brilliantly, and it brings us right into verse 2. Sold your soul to the man. Another deal, a deal gone bad. Another seed that never gets planted. Corporate insects destroy our planet. Never gonna let another day die. My friend, you and I. Feel the heat from the fire outside. Burning hot, still alive. And before you jump in, I want to talk about, on the 4th line of the first half of verse 2, corporate insects destroy our planet. You get the title right there. It's never in the chorus. You only hear it there. Punk bands are famous for that. We'll pick some weird word.
Yes.
Why that? Why did you zone in on that for the title?
I had this thought of, at the time I was living with my girlfriend at the time. We had a little apartment that had wood floors. And we started noticing little tiny piles of like dust, almost perfect little piles of dust in different parts of the wood floor. Like, what the hell is that? Right? Come to find out, it was termites. Termites destroying the whole place.
Oh.
And it got so bad that my girlfriend had thrown a birthday party for me. All my friends came over to the place, right? We had this balcony that was like 1 story. It was like a 2nd story balcony, okay? And it had a staircase, and you can come in, you walk up the stairways onto the balcony to the front door of the place, right? So we had this party, and by this time we had already complained to the landlords about these insects destroying the apartment, because it was happening not just on the wood floors, it was happening out on this balcony.
Yeah.
And anyways, we're having this party. There's like probably 10 or 12 people standing on that balcony, just hanging out outside, having drinks.
Oh boy.
And the balcony collapsed.
Oh.
It was a bad scene. Real bad scene.
You hear about those like on New Year's Eve, 30 people on a balcony in Chicago, and they all plummet to their death.
Yeah. So point being, that just kind of gave me the analogy of it. It's like how much we're either destroying the earth, destroying our seas, and it all falls back on just money and greed. It's just more and more and more and more, right? So that was the analogy. It's like these termites, that destroyed my apartment.
I hate that you had termites, but that's such a cool tie-in.
I mean,
it's insane. That's why I love doing this. When you hear stories from people, you're like, what?
Yeah. So it's just,
That's so cool. Verse 2, same overall instrumentation, but I feel the stereo guitars are a hair bigger here than verse 1, and there's another high harmony, another vocal harmony added to the stack. On the second half of the verse here, that guitar panned off right, it comes back in, but this time it's played with more intensity. It doesn't sound like it's mixed louder. It sounds like you're giving us a little bit more there on that. And then again, on the last line, burning hot, still alive, we get that 2-bar build-up hook, I'm calling it, that build-up again before we get into chorus 2. But let's talk about those stereo guitars. Was that discussed, or is that just how Matt likes to do his productions, likes to give it a little lift? It's noticeably louder there, but it's not stepping on the vocals.
Yeah, it was a little of both of us at the time when we were tracking the guitars. I always love it when that happens in a song. It just kind of takes it to the next level up, and you feel it as a listener.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about when you're listening to a song, and it takes the vibe a level up. And it may not necessarily be, like you said, a volume thing or level thing.
It could be an intensity.
It's an intensity.
Well, and two, I think that, if you were just to jump in and listen to verse 2, not in this production, but and sometimes you might go, ooh, the vocal maybe could come up a little bit. It's because those stereo guitars are louder. But because you've already heard the song from the beginning, your ears have zoned into the lead vocal. So now the second time, it's loud enough. It's not sitting on top anymore because the guitar's a little louder. But to your point, it makes you feel like you're kind of in another world.
Yeah. And, a good producer will bring stuff out of you.
Oh, I know that.
That's what a good producer does, right? They bring things out of you that you didn't know were there or you had. And Matt pulled some stuff out of me that I didn't know I had, I can't remember exactly how the conversation went, but I do remember him pushing me on things that I wouldn't have necessarily done on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Say if I was recording the song by myself, I wouldn't have, it probably just would have been the same attack across the board, right?
I'm telling you, man, I've given this analogy before. I played sports growing up, and a producer that's hard on me, I've always been able to take it because, I played ball. Yeah. I played ball growing up. It's like, you're going to do it again. Okay. Yes, sir. And, being in music, I've met a lot of guys, some of my hardcore punk friends, musicians that never played sports, hated the jocks. They weren't part of that at all, having no part of it. And they'd get some guy trying to tell them what to, I'm not listening to this guy. Who are you, Mr. Corporate? And that could be tough. I've been in that situation where now I got, band guys going, oh, you're sucking up to the producer. It's like, well, no, I can just take direction. I know I'm not John Lennon,
Right. It's interesting you say that. I grew up in a big sports family too, and played sports, for the better part of my, throughout my childhood and my teens and stuff. And yeah, the thing is, you're coachable, right?
Well, that and that's not making me a better person than my friend that's not. He just didn't have that experience.
No.
Yeah.
He didn't have that experience. It's just, we all grew up differently, and so we learn from our experiences.
And not gonna lie, even though I've had that experience, I've sent a mic stand through drywall before. I mean, I've had my moments.
Yeah, same here, man. I've thrown my Les Paul because I just couldn't nail down a part.
You can't deal sometimes. Well, chorus 2, it's the same overall instrumentation and vocal placement and lyrics as chorus 1. But this time on the last line, on a pedestal, we get a harmony on that line. It's still by itself a cappella. So awesome. On pedestal, the band comes back in to 12 bars of a new groove here. Drums, bass, and stereo guitars.
Never gain any credibility. For a vision given to the enemy, and all the faces of humanity. A stone tied cup for a man on a pedestal.
I'm calling this the post-chorus jam. Halfway through on bar 5, I keep it bottled up inside me, got a big harmony on that. And then on bar 11, you keep it bottled inside you, a big harmony on that. And again, I wrote this part is just driving on you. The U hangs on the last lyric. The U hangs into the arpeggiated guitar part breakdown. This is the intro from the top of the song, which is now the bridge. So the part before this, I'm like, oh, this is the bridge. I'm calling it the post-chorus jam.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think when we come back down here into the arpeggiated part, and I was wondering, I'm like, when's this part going to come back? Because you hear it at the top of the song. And of course, you know it's got to come somewhere. Again, up to this point, do you remember things changing? Like this new jam that came in, was that Matt's idea, or is that something you had?
So for the bridge, that was another Matt suggestion. It's like, oh, we got to bring that intro back around in the song. That intro is so cool. We got to bring it back in somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
And that, so that's kind of how that came apart. And then when it comes out of the bridge is just a part that I had with the original version that I had. I wanted to have that break.
Okay.
Before the climactic ending.
Well, we're going to talk about that break in a second, because that break, there's something I want to specifically ask you. I think it's so cool. But when it comes back to the arpeggiated guitar part, it's 16 bars, and we get these whoa-oh-ohs that start coming in, backing vocals that are stacked perfectly. The last 2 times we get a floor tom buildup with the whole band into another new part for 4 bars. And this is, I think, what you were talking about. The first 2 bars are just guitar panned off left with a faint hi-hat keeping time. Bars 3 and 4, we get kick, drum, and cymbal hits from the drums locked with the rest of the band to take us into chorus 3. That riff alone is so awesome. I've wrestled with this. I've wrestled with this. Have you ever done a riff where you're like, I can't just waste this in a song for 4 bars.
Oh, yeah.
And you try to save it for something else, and it never ends up hitting you as hard as it does for those 4 bars in this particular song. That might be the best riff in the song.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of that riff. I was really stoked that it made it in the song.
Oh, I would have had a tough time with that. I would have been like, I don't know, man, maybe we got to start the song off with this. That riff's awesome.
No, I went through that. I went through that internal turmoil.
Okay.
I was like, man, I don't know should this be a separate song?
I write these bridge parts all the time that it's better than all 3 minutes of the rest of the song. And now I'm stuck with a great bridge in a song around it that sucks.
Oh yeah. I know it happens, man. It's like you struggle with it.
I know. Sometimes putting the pieces of the puzzle together are crazy.
Yeah.
Well, on the second half, when all this is going on of these 16 bars, we get the whoa-oh with the lyric, see the sun drop colors of red. Another whoa-oh-oh, broken bones for a mouth well fed. Another stack of whoa-ohs, bring back a real train of thought. Another stack of the whoa-ohs, another tool for the melting pot. And we get a big harmony on melting pot there. This is like 1 3/4 choruses this last time. It's weird.
It's weird. It's weird, right?
It's very weird, but it's so cool. And I had to keep going through it and try to figure out, did they cut a time out? What happened here? I just love, let's talk about that a little bit. You get to the end, it'd be a great time to throw in a double chorus, but you guys throw us a monkey wrench here. What's going on?
Yeah, that's my messed up brain.
Okay.
You know, I do that a lot of times in my writing.
Do you get sent to the corner a lot too as a kid?
I like those quick turnaround. Yeah, I like those quick little turnarounds, things that, you know, are unconventional, things that make you think. For me as a listener, I'm such a huge fan of music. I like it when I hear things like that, something that challenges my brain.
Yeah.
You know, that's not of the norm. And so, you know, I tend to, it doesn't always work, you know, and, you know, my ideas get shot down, you know, just like everybody. But that time it worked out and it made sense.
Fair enough. Well, chorus 3 is, you never gave any credibility for a vision given to the enemy and on the faces of humanity. And then we get the whoa-oh-ohs coming back in here. You never gave any credibility. That's where the line repeats right there to set up the second half of chorus 3 here.
Right.
We get the whoa-ohs, and then for a vision given to the enemy, some whoa-ohs. And on the faces of humanity, we get those stacked whoa-ohs. And then the last line, there's harmonies on this. No woes, you just get a stone's eye throw for a man. And it stops. It doesn't say on a pedestal again. The old cliffhanger. I'm a sucker for it.
The cliffhanger ending.
I love it.
It's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny when we play that live, you know. The audience always finishes the song.
They always say on a
pedestal. You know, it's not even on the record, but the audience, nope. This is what we're gonna.
Okay,
this is how we're ending the song.
I'll throw this back at you now. Yeah, the audience has spoken, right? Have you ever the first or second time it happens, you go, oh, we kind of messed up there. We probably should have done that.
I've questioned it. Don't think I haven't questioned it. Maybe we should have ended it different.
Yeah. Well, before we break here, I just want to ask, Mike. So you guys got a lot of great songs. I feel you have more immediate songs than this in terms of maybe a first-time listener. What's it about Insects Destroy that it became your most popular track for Pulley?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe because it's a slower song. It's maybe it's easier on some people's ears.
Okay.
You know, maybe there's people out there that aren't necessarily a fan of the classic fast punk song, you know, that our kind of genre is known for, right? You know, kind of from maybe 1990, you know, when, you know, pretty much after Suffer came out, right?
You got it.
That's when things started getting refined, right? And we all started refining what we were doing. And but, you know, to answer your question, I think it's, you know, you hear the lyric more. Maybe people identify with the lyrics for, you know, and I mean, obviously, you know, there was a reason why I wrote it, you know, for my reasons, but you can make it your own, you know, just like any lyrics for your songs, you know. Sure. Somebody might hear something different and might touch them in a different way than how you originally wrote it. You know, that's my best guess.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. I'll take it. I always ask that. I've never really had a guest say, "Yeah, I know the exact reason why," but I always like to pose it. Yeah. How there really is no right answer, but I find it interesting. Sometimes a band's most popular song is the one that is a little bit left of center. It seems to sometimes be the case. But so before we break, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time out for sitting in here with us today. And as far as new stuff from Pulley, I guess you guys just recently released a split 7-inch called Split Personality on Negative Progression Records. I want to give a shout out to Seth from Negative Progression. He's the one that coordinated this episode. So thanks, Seth.
Thank you, Seth,
for pulling some strings and getting Mike here today. But besides the record, anything else happening? You guys, any touring plans? What's going on with Pulley?
Yeah, so we've been doing some regional shows. Like I said, a week ago, we did those couple shows with Thunder and Law.
Yep.
We're playing with Guttermouth at the end of this month down in Rancho Cucamonga, and Scott and I are actually getting together tomorrow to start writing on a couple new songs. And I think we're going to be doing another split with another band. We'll probably do another split like we did with Fire Sale.
Yeah,
that was super fun to do. I love doing splits with bands.
I know those guys. The Matt, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then we're starting to book stuff for the summer. We got a European tour in August. We'll probably go to Canada probably in the spring.
You guys doing punk rock holiday in Slovenia?
We are. Yeah.
I think I saw you. We're going to be there this year. So
you are.
Yeah. I don't know if we're playing
awesome.
the same days. I want to say they're bringing us in on like the Tuesday, the first day it starts. They want us to kick off one of the stages or something. I don't know. I could be wrong exactly, but would love to see you guys.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you guys. That's a fun one always. Other than that, we're looking at going back to Japan, Australia, and South America. Those things are, in the talks right now.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. It was nice meeting you, and hopefully see you in Slovenia.
There's so much more to take in when you listen to these sounds. Torn apart by time, this story goes.
Hey everybody, the song you're hearing right now is Torn Apart by Time from Pulley's split 7-inch with Fire Sale called Personality Split, which you can get at negativeprogressionrecords.com. You can also stream it all the normal places you stream music. So you should definitely do that, and you should also definitely stick around because there's lots more Chris DeMakes a Podcast coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Hey friends, have you been loving Chris DeMakes a Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the wrap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is Panic Sets In, a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania-based female-fronted rock band blending 2000s pop punk and emo. The band is aiming to finish up a new record here in 2026, and you can find their music on all the streaming platforms. Here's a snippet of their song, Falling Backwards.
Beyond your horizons, this is a lesson that you have to learn. Sometimes a song will hurt when we rehearse, and you're falling backwards, falling back. You will not drop the anchor this time.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
So, Chris, I love that episode. I've been a fan of Pulley for a long time, and they're kind of an all-star team of punk legends, that band. And in more than one way, and you guys didn't really talk about it, but their singer, Scott Radinsky, had an 11-year Major League Baseball career as a left-handed relief pitcher. So I'm sure that they're probably sick of talking about that, but I have to mention that. That's pretty cool.
Well, Scott was going to be on the show initially.
Right.
And he wrote back and said, it'd probably be better to have Mike. And man, Mike couldn't have been a better guest.
Oh, Mike was awesome. And what a nice guy, a very interesting guy. There were stories in this episode that I didn't expect, especially the part about the balcony that was eaten by termites that was the inspiration for this song. I never would have expected that.
That's what I mean. I had the biggest grin on my face when he's recounting that, because here I'm picking out in the song, it's the second verse. First half of the second verse, you get the title of the song. And I mean, we've talked about this before. Less Than Jake had those long, crazy song titles that had nothing to do with anything else in the song. And, of course, Fall Out Boy and a lot of bands took a bite out of that as well. But here, he just put it in the second verse, and it did relate to something that was going on in his life. I thought that was super cool.
And I don't mean to make light of the termites thing, because that sounds like an absolute nightmare to have termites.
Yep.
As a homeowner, that is one of the worst things that could happen to your house, but still thought it made for a cool story. I also thought that was really cool to hear Mike talk about his experience working in the corporate world and drawing from that for his lyrics. Because to be honest, you don't hear that a lot in music. And I'm sure that so many listeners of a band could have that experience of being able to relate to that so much, but rarely do you hear a band singing about that from firsthand experience.
I mean, there's bands for days, punk bands, that'll sing about corporate greed and fighting the man, but not from the standpoint of, but I'm working for them still.
Right, of being there firsthand. So, and it's so relatable to so many people. I also thought it was cool hearing him talking about, and we've heard this from so many people, and you and I have both experienced it, but learning so much from the producers you work with. If you pick up a little bit of something from each producer you work with, you're going to be a well-rounded musician, songwriter, producer yourself. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and he gave a lot of credit to Matt Hyde, and go listen to his productions. They're crushing. I mean, this song sounds great, and he was able to take a pop band. Yeah, they have a little bit of darker leanings, Pulley in certain things, but the arpeggiated guitar part alone in this song, it's not pretty. It's got some gruff to it, some attitude to it.
Yeah, that was cool that you knew so much about this producer too. You already knew the Slayer record that he did, so you had something to compare it to, and I thought that was cool. And I also, Mike said it's so true that a good producer will pull things out of you that you didn't know you had. I've had that experience countless times, especially when recording vocals. This last album, the Punchline did, JB, who was working with me on the vocals, he would be like, okay, try this, do this. And then when it was all said and done, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so cool. And I wouldn't have thought of that. And I just related so much to that when he mentioned that.
Oh, yeah. We heard that recently. Last month, we had Ryan Key from Yellowcard on talking about when Travis Barker took him aside in the other room, was like, you're going to hit the note. I'm going to help you. We're going to get through this. And, sometimes being coached through it. And Mike and I talked about having a sports background. He related to that, being able to be coached, and sometimes just having the support of your coach or someone around you going, we got this. We're in it together. That's all the help in the world.
It's so funny because when you grew up in the world of punk rock, you're like against the jocks. And but at the same time, I also grew up playing sports, and being part of a team can relate so much. I mean, you're literally part of a team when you're in a band. You're in a team of musicians, and you can take those same sort of lessons from sports and relate them to being in a band.
Oh,
of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I haven't posed the question maybe in a minute. I don't do it every episode, but I do like to ask bands sometimes or artists, what is it about this song? Why'd this flow? Because again, this isn't the most immediate poppy Pulley song there is. There's more. There's songs that you would maybe call catchier, but this one rose to the top.
This one's a little more challenging, and I don't mean that it's not a great song. I just mean it's there are moments in this song, especially towards the end, you brought it up to him, and Mike even said, I like when you hear something that challenges your brain. It could be a weird timing thing or a cut time thing. I love the band Cursive. They're the first band I think of when I think of that. They're always doing things like that, and it keeps me interested and keeps me guessing, and it's just fun to listen to for me.
That's awesome. Well, hey, if you haven't already, if you're living under a rock, if somehow you don't know this, yes, we have a Patreon. It's at chrisdemakes.com, chrisdemakes.com, where all your hopes and dreams come true. You get bonus episodes of the After Party, as well as our new feature that our producer Chris doesn't even know about yet. With radio host Chris Van Halen, you're going to get episodes of Hair Traffic Control coming very soon to our Patreon.
Wow, this is this is a new thing I didn't even know about. I'm excited.
107.1 WLTJ. This is Chris Van Halen.
Wow, you had this planned. You've been waiting to do this all your life.
Hair Traffic Control. Don't touch that dial.
Love it. Love it.
That's right. And what else? Oh, do you have a review for us, Chris?
I do have a review. If you love our show, you can show us a little love in the form of a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can leave us 5 stars there. But yes, I have a 5-star review for us this week, Chris. This one is from Rivenstein. Rivenstein left us 5 stars and wrote, best music podcast out there. Would love to hear an AFI, Rancid, or Op Ivy song broken down. Or all of the above. Man, I would like to make all of those happen for our listeners. I played at a festival with AFI in the past year or so, and I thought, this is going to be my chance. I'm going to go talk to Davey. Of course, I never saw him. I love how, I told you this before, I love how when you play like a big show, you think you're going to talk to the other bands and stuff. I didn't see him until he was on stage. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to try to get Rancid, AFI, all the punk bands you guys want, but also outside of the punk genre, of course, as well.
Hey, Rivenstein, go stalk both those bands' socials and let them know that Chris DeMakes a Podcast wants to talk to them. And thank you for your review. Keep those reviews coming. We love them. And head over to chrisdemakes.com where our Patreon is at, because we want you to see our new show as well as our old show, The After Party, because it's awesome. And I want to thank this week's guest, Mike Hyde, for sitting in with us, and we'll see you next week.